Today, I'll be discussing breaking barriers, African American wealth in the face of persistent racism.
Hi, you're in class with Dr. T.
While a small number of African Americans have managed to accumulate significant wealth throughout history, their success does not mean they have been free from the effects of systematic racism. Even as members of the Black elite have entered spaces traditionally reserved for white Americans, they have continued to face discrimination and racial prejudice. Their wealth may offer some degree of protection, but it has not fully insulated them from the broader realities of racism in America. In many cases, these individuals have used their financial resources to challenge inequities and uplift their communities, but their experiences show that wealth alone is not enough to eliminate the persistent barriers of race. The following profiles highlight the lives of wealthy African Americans who, despite their financial success, had to confront racism in various forms. Each short biography not only celebrates their accomplishments, but also puts into perspective how they overcame systematic challenges while navigating a racially unequal society. James Fortin, a sailmaker from Philadelphia, was one of the wealthiest African Americans of his time, amassing a fortune worth about 100,000, equivalent to 3 million today. Born free in 1766, Fortin became a successful businessman and abolitionist. Despite his financial success, Fortin faced racism and lived under a legal system that denied African Americans basic rights. His wealth did not shield him from racial laws, yet he used his resources to fund abolitionist causes and schools for Black children. Fortin's legacy is one of resistance. He channeled his wealth into fighting the very system that tried to marginalize him. Born Sarah Breedlove, Madam C.J. Walker became the first self-made African-American female millionaire by creating a successful line of hair care products for Black women. Her wealth at the time of her death was around 600,000, the equivalent of 9 million today. Walker faced significant racial and gender barriers during the Jim Crow era, including being shut out from traditional financial networks. Despite these obstacles, she built alternative systems of support within the Black community, using her wealth to fund civil rights initiatives and support Black institutions. Robert Reed Church became the first African American millionaire in the South by investing in real estate and banking in post-Reconstruction Memphis. His fortune, estimated at 700,000, translates to roughly 20 million today. Church faced not only systematic exclusion, but also direct violence, such as the Memphis Massacre of 1866. When his businesses were targeted, although wealthy, he was still vulnerable to white supremacist attacks. Nevertheless, Church used his financial power to invest in the Black community and support civil rights efforts, showing how economic success alone did not protect him against racism, but could be used to counter it. Maggie Walker was the first African American woman to charter a bank, the St. Luke Penny Savings Bank, and her estimated net worth reached about 500,000, or around 8 million in today's dollar. She was a leading businesswoman and civil rights advocate in Virginia. Despite her business success, Walker lived during the height of segregation and systematic racism, prevented many African Americans from accessing traditional financial services. Her wealth did not protect her from the social exclusions of Jim Crow, but she worked tirelessly to create economic opportunities for the Black community. A.G. Gaston was a businessman from Alabama who built a multi-million-dollar empire through ventures in insurance, real estate, and communications. His net worth was estimated at 130 million by the time of his death in 1996, or approximately 1 billion in today's dollars. Gaston faced numerous racial barriers, including segregation and redlining. Despite these obstacles, he became one of the wealthiest African Americans of his era and used his wealth to support civil rights leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. Gaston's life demonstrates how Black entrepreneurs could leverage wealth to fight racial oppression. though systematic challenges remained. John H. Johnson was the founder of Ebony and Jet magazine, which catered to Black audiences at a time when mainstream media ignored or misrepresented African Americans. By the 1980s, John Johnson would regularly appear in Forbes magazine as one of the 400 richest in the country. Even with his success in media, Johnson faced significant barriers such as advertising discrimination and exclusion from major corporate deals. He continually had to fight for legitimacy in a predominantly white industry, demonstrating that wealth alone could not protect against systematic exclusion. Oprah Winfrey, a media mogul, became the first Black woman billionaire. With an estimated net worth of $2.8 billion, she rose from poverty to become one of the most influential figures in American media. Despite her immense wealth and influence, Winfrey has publicly acknowledged how racism continues to affect her. She has faced instances of racial bias, even in elite spaces, underscoring how racism persists regardless of economic status.
I have built a career and a life out of being myself, which, in the beginning, I thought I could, watch Barbara Walters, and for a while I think I was pretending to be Barbara Walters and talk like Barbara Walters, and soon discovered early in my career that I could be a better me, a better Oprah, than I could ever be a pretend Barbara Walters. So I try to encourage young people to look for the real work is to discover who you are and to use who you are in service to the world.
Robert Johnson, the founder of Black Entertainment Television, became the first African-American billionaire when he sold BET to Viacom in 2001. His current net worth is estimated at $550 million. Johnson has spoken about the challenges African Americans still face in the corporate world, particularly at the highest levels of power. Despite his financial success, he's had to confront racial exclusion in elite business circles. Robert F. Smith, a billionaire businessman and philanthropist, founded Vista Equity Partners, a private equity firm specializing in software and technology investments. Born in Denver in 1962, Smith pursued a career in finance after earning a degree in chemical engineering from Cornell University and an MBA from Columbia Business School. Vista Equity Partners, which he founded in 2000, became highly successful, making Smith one of the wealthiest African Americans. Despite his success, Smith has encountered systematic racism in the predominantly white privileged equity industry, where Black professionals remain underrepresented. Recognizing these barriers, Smith has used his wealth to promote racial equity, most notably in 2019 when he pledged to pay off the student loans of Morehouse College graduating class. His philanthropy addresses the structural inequalities that continue to impact the Black community, particularly in education and economic opportunity. JayZ, aka Sean Carter, has a net worth of $2.5 billion. He built his empire through music, fashion, and business ventures like Rock Nation. Despite his wealth, JayZ remains vocal about systematic racism, particularly in policing and the criminal justice system. His wealth gives him access to power, but he continues to fight for broader racial equality. In conclusion, the remarkable achievements of these individuals highlight the possibilities and limitations of Black wealth in America. While they have reached the upper echelons of economic success, this story underscores that even for those who enter the top 1% of earners, racial prejudice and systematic racism persist in various forms. Figures like Oprah Winfrey, Robert F. Smith, and JayZ, despite their immense financial power, have openly spoken about facing racial bias and how systematic inequalities remain a barrier in their personal and professional lives. Most importantly, the success of these figures has not translated into widespread economic improvements for the broader Black community, where deep disparities in housing, education, and employment remain entrenched. While wealth among the Black elite may offer protection and influence, it does not dismantle the structural barriers of racial inequality that affect the majority of African Americans. In some ways, These exceptional cases of financial success can mask the broader systemic issues of racial and economic inequality. Their visibility often perpetuates the myth through hard work, anyone can overcome systematic obstacles and achieve wealth, obscuring the realities of structural racism that continue to hinder the economic mobility of the majority of Black Americans. Moreover, many of these wealthy individuals, such as Robert L. Johnson and A.G. Gaston, have expressed belief in the American system of laissez-faire capitalism, seeing individual success as a pathway to broader economic freedom. However, their stories reveal that even within this system, Black entrepreneurs face unique challenges due to the persistence of racial barriers. While their financial success is celebrated, it's critical to acknowledge that capitalism alone has not provided the systematic change needed to uplift the broader Black community. Ultimately, the persistence of racial inequality, even those who have made it, quote unquote, serves as a reminder that wealth alone is insufficient to address systematic racism. Real change requires rethinking the economic and social structures perpetuating inequality and a commitment to policies that ensure equitable opportunities for all, not just the fortunate few. Thank you. Please subscribe, please like, please make comments.